This is a story that began in a small, seemingly insignificant town. Life here always flowed quietly, people lived their lives, worked, raised their children. No one could have imagined that something would happen here that would make the entire world talk about the second coming. John was an ordinary man, 42 years old, a family man, and an engineer. He never considered himself a believer. As he often said, "I'm not an atheist, but I'm not a fanatic either. I have my own faith, a faith in logic." His days were always predictable: work, home, family. Nothing suggested that anything extraordinary would happen that night. But one night, at 3 o'clock in the morning, John suddenly woke up. Everything was silent, too silent. Even the crickets, which usually filled the nights with their sounds, seemed to have stopped. A strange stillness filled the room. At first, he thought it was just a regular awakening. But then he saw it, an incredibly bright light. A light that penetrated through the windows and walls, filling the room. It wasn't an ordinary light, it didn't blind him, but it seemed to fill everything around him. What was that? John recalled later. "I thought I was dreaming. But a dream can't feel this real." He went to the window. Outside, everything was just as quiet. But the sky wasn't like it usually was. John didn't see stars. He didn't see the moon. What he saw was something incredible. "The heavens seemed to have opened," he said. "I looked and couldn't believe my eyes. In the center of the light, I saw a figure. It was enormous. It was surrounded by winged beings that were singing a melody unlike anything I'd ever heard. That was the moment I realized I was witnessing something sacred." He felt fear but couldn't look away. The light grew brighter, and suddenly, he heard a voice. It wasn't an ordinary voice. It wasn't loud, but it seemed to fill everything around him. It wasn't just words, John recounted. They felt like they penetrated deep into me, filling my entire consciousness. I couldn't move or speak. I just stood there and listened. After that, the light began to fade slowly. The figure disappeared, and everything returned to normal. But John couldn't sleep anymore. He felt as though he had touched something incredibly important, something that needed to be shared with the world. He didn't immediately decide to talk about what he had seen. But the words he heard wouldn't let him go. "Be ready. I will return soon." Thus began this story. The story of an ordinary man who claimed to have witnessed what millions have been waiting for thousands of years, the second coming. John insists that what he saw cannot be compared to any dream. It was too real. He remembers every detail as if it happened yesterday. "When the light filled the room, I felt like I couldn't move," he recalled. "It wasn't fear, it was something else. It felt like awe in the presence of something great. I felt something pulling me toward the window. I walked over and saw it. The sky had opened. It wasn't like the sky we know, it was alive. The clouds moved as if someone was parting them with their hands, creating a path to something extraordinary. I saw a figure. It was surrounded by a light so bright that it was impossible to look directly at it. But at the same time, I could see it clearly. It was a man, tall, wearing long robes. But it wasn't just a man. I knew it was Jesus. I don't know how I knew. He didn't say who he was, but I felt it deep inside. It was a certainty stronger than words. Then I heard the voice. It wasn't an ordinary voice. It echoed everywhere. It was loud and quiet at the same time, as if it was speaking directly to every atom of my being. The words pierced me. They weren't just sound. They were alive. They filled my heart, and I felt. I don't know how to describe it. I felt that the world would never be the same again. John's story struck a chord, but for those familiar with the Bible, it sounded eerily familiar. His vision, his words, they were frighteningly reminiscent of ancient prophecies written thousands of years ago. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 24, Jesus says, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven." John describes stars falling from the sky, cities destroyed, fire consuming everything around. Doesn't this remind us of the same prophecies about the end of days? When John shared his story, he didn't expect the massive reaction it would provoke. He thought people would simply dismiss him as crazy, but it turned out differently. His words spread across the internet like wildfire. His story became a topic of global discussion. Some called him a prophet, while others said it was just a dream. But whatever people believed, one thing was certain: no one was indifferent. John continues to share his experience, despite criticism and skepticism. He says, "I don't know why this vision was given to me. I'm just an ordinary person. But I feel it's my duty to tell the world. I'm not trying to scare people. I want them to think. If each of us changes even a little, remembers what it means to love, it would be a huge step forward." So, who is John? A prophet? A random witness? Or just a man who saw something he was afraid to share? The choice is yours to make. But no matter what you decide, his story has already changed the world. Now the question is, are you ready to change your life? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe in John's prophecy? And most importantly, what are you willing to do to bring light into this world? Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. We will share more stories that make you think and inspire you. Thank you for watching.